Welcome back to another episode of Two Average Husbands. I'm your host, Jake.
Oh, you're not going to do it this week. All right, I'm your
Not,
host, Kyle. Welcome back, everybody. Two
I,
Average Husbands.
I gotta save the new intros for season two. We still gotta workshop them a little
You're
bit.
going to throw me off when you do that shit.
Season two's coming right around the corner here, Kyle. This is episode 25. We're gonna have
Holy fuck, 25
episode
already, wow.
episode 30 is hopefully when we'll have the revamps that I'm working on. I'm working with somebody to get a few things created. Kyle doesn't even know about them yet, so
I do not. That is correct.
you're gonna have to.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
You're gonna have to wait and see, baby. Anyways, Kyle, what are we drinking tonight, brother?
So for me, I'm starting off with the Shipyard Brewing Company Smashed Pumpkin Ale. Pretty excited about this one. I'm not like a big fall guy.
Yes, you are.
But the wife is, and I do enjoy the pumpkin beers. So I'm excited for this.
I'm the guy who like kind of used to shit on pumpkin,
This thing's 9%.
but I love pumpkin.
Damn. This is a
9%. Kyle's
good
in for a
beer.
great night, boys and girls. All right, I am drinking Brothership Brew or is it Brothership? Yeah, Brothership Brewing Company's Plasma Wave Strawberry Supernova, which is a candy-inspired sour ale. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about this this brewery in general. So we gonna see what that's all about. My brother's in the chat. He says, "What's up, Dingle Dick?" Thanks, Logan. Appreciate you.
What's up, Logan?
All right,
Is he in Discord or is he in... Speaking
On
of, we
the-
can plug that again, too.
on the YouTube chat.
We have the Discord channel as well. I'm pulling up the YouTube comments. All right, sweet, I got that. But we do have the Discord channel as well. So if you are listening to us regularly, want to hop in and chat with us during the show, but don't want to do it on YouTube, we did open the Discord channel as well. So feel free to hop on in there. I will do that right now. I will
Yes.
be in the podcast interaction channel.
I'm in that as well. Make sure you, if you haven't already, make sure you join that Discord. We've already got a few of our friends who are in there, so make sure you join them in there. Check out our any of the link trees that we post. We'll have the link to the Discord in there. But jumping right into this week's episode, as always, we start with the NFL segment. We do have the Jaguars versus Bengals going on right now, but
We sure do.
Kyle and I made a couple bets about football this year, and one of them is off to a great start for me. So I'm going to talk about it this week.
He says great start. I don't know how great of a start it is.
Their stats are pretty different. We'll put it that way. But Kyle and I made a bet after I published my rookie rankings. If you don't follow me on Twitter at JakePerry34, you wouldn't know this, but I am a fantasy football analyst. I do write for JWB Fantasy Football, but I've done some other stuff beforehand. But I posted my rookie rankings for this year. Had Mac Jones ranked higher than Zach Wilson, which was very controversial at the time. And Kyle had some things to say about it. And as a result, we made
still
a
have
bet.
things to say about it.
And this bet has to do with the drinks, actually, that we will have on one of these episodes here. But Mac Jones is off to a pretty okay start. I won't say good. He's definitely okay. But he's doing a lot better than Zach Wilson. Kyle, your thoughts?
I think Zach Wilson actually had a pretty okay first game despite the picks, and then the second game was atrocious. The picks didn't help. The picks were fucking rough, man. And obviously it's not helpful that he's but so at the end of the day, we're not judging it just based off of interceptions. So we're going to look at a multifaceted approach to see what actually is going on and see who actually played better over the course of the year and contributed the most to fantasy. So we're going to be looking at a lot of different things there, not just interceptions, because I do think that is going to be a giant negative in the column for Zach Wilson. But that being said, I do think Zach Wilson can be great still. I just don't know if we're going to have a good look at a great Zach Wilson this year, which is nobody's going to be shocked by that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you wholeheartedly that neither is off to a phenomenal start. Let's just be very honest about. Hold on, my dogs are barking in the background. Jess must have just got home, so apologize if you hear that. I can't do anything about it. When it comes to the two quarterbacks, I have their traditional stats that we can look at right off the bat. So far, year to date, Mac Jones is 81 of 120 for a 67.5% completion percentage for 737 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Zach Wilson is 58 of 104, which is a 55.7% completion rate for 668 yards, also 2 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions. So it's very clear off the bat, Mac Jones is much more accurate. Zach Wilson is completing passes at a much deeper rate down the field, which is kind of, that kind of fits their play styles that they had in college. Jones was more accurate as a passer. He was a little bit more controlled. He wasn't taking deep shots as frequently. Zach Wilson was a little bit more of a gunslinger, willing to throw the ball deep more consistently, and we're seeing a lot of that still in the NFL. Where I think
the thing too, right? Like you talk about their college game style, like everybody knew coming into the league, right, that Zach Wilson played for BYU and did not play against the caliber of teams that Alabama was playing against. So it's no surprise that Mac Jones is doing a little better in his start than Zach Wilson. It's going to take him a while, I think, to get to the tempo of the NFL and to start playing at a higher tier once in this game. So I'm not shocked, again, with the Zach Wilson performance so far.
Yeah, I think, it really comes down to what both players are working with, and I do think that Zach Wilson has better receivers, but he's also working with a rookie head coach, a new offensive coordinator, a system that's very different than what he was used to at BYU. The receivers to this team are also all basically brand new to the roster. Their last high draft pick of a wide receiver, Denzel Mims, has played 3 snaps all year. They're both learning their offenses. They're both working on things. And if you look at like some of the advanced metrics, you'd see that they're not as far apart as some of their traditional stats would imply. So if you look at like their EPA per play, Zach Wilson is last in the league, but Mac Jones is only ranked 24th out of 30. If you look at their completion percentage over expected, Zach Wilson's is about 8% lower than expected, and Mac Jones is slightly above average, about 3% above average. And if you look at their composite of those two stats, they're within 6 or 7 quarterbacks of each other. They're not having drastically different seasons. It's not like Mac Jones is, a million times better than Zach Wilson to this point. But
to be honest, New England is pretty dog shit. Like if it wasn't for New England's defense, I think you'd see a lot different, sight for New England as a whole. New England's defense looks pretty okay, and the offensive line is doing a lot better job of protecting Mac Jones than New York Jets' offensive line. So I think you could see a very different turnout if you didn't have those key players keeping, Mac Jones a little bit safer, giving him a little bit longer time to throw from the pocket. You could probably look at those stats too, but I'm sure there's a markable difference there.
Yeah. So just looking at the two defenses, both of them, they're actually like pretty close from a few things. When it comes to points per game, the Patriots are giving up 17 points per game on defense, whereas the Jets are giving up 23.3. So about a touchdown difference, nothing too crazy. When it comes to the total yards per game that they're each is giving up, the Patriots are giving up 282 per game. The Jets are at 328. So again, nothing too crazy. Like these teams both aren't good. To be like,
correct.
This Patriots team isn't winning playoff games. This Jets team is definitely not making the playoffs. And that's, that was kind of my thought with this bet the whole time is Mac Jones's play style translates to a much safer NFL game. So if Mac Jones is starting, he's naturally going to throw less interceptions. He's going to throw less touchdowns too, because he's just not as aggressive. And Bill Belichick's offense isn't built for him to be that level of aggressive.
They don't need him to be. Yeah,
exactly. So that's why I was like comfortable taking the bet. Obviously, I was taking the bet expecting to lose because I didn't think Mac Jones was gonna. I figured they were just gonna give the job to Cam again. I didn't see any reason why. But Cam sucks. We know that. Clearly, the Patriots think that as well. So
it's a sad thing too because Cam was so good, and then it just suddenly was so bad. Never really recovered from the injury, so that sucks. But it is what it is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Cam, obviously, anytime you have a former MVP, you want him to succeed. But moving on, my Uncle Kyle did ask in the chat. He wants to know our opinions on the Bears' future. I have my opinions because I'm a Bears fan. But Kyle, what do you kind of think about where the Bears are currently, and how do you kind of project them a little bit going forward?
I think most people would agree that Matt Nagy needs to go. But outside of just the Matt Nagy situation, I think the team has built the groundwork in order to have a great future. They just need to get somebody in there that's going to A, coach them well, and B, continue to get the draft capital or utilize their draft capital intelligently to build that team. Because, I mean, we're seeing the pressure against Justin Fields, at least in this last game, was incredible. Like he got sacked. What was it? I think it was 9 times.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he got sacked 9 times.
sounds correct.
And so they need to.
Don't have the exact stats, but that's yeah. It wasn't
You
good.
guys have your franchise quarterback now, so you need to take the time to develop the right people to protect Justin Fields in the pocket, and give him the opportunity to throw. And then I think that they're going to probably lose Robinson after this year, so we'll see. I could be wrong, but I think Chicago has a lot of opportunity. They just need to get fucking Matt Nagy out the door and move on to somebody else. But I don't see anything bad about the future of Chicago. I think they have the right pieces in place on their offense to make them have a successful team. It's just going to take some continued leadership from a coaching staff in order to make that happen.
My uncle Kyle specified that he was meaning with like the potential stadium change that is going out there, which I can cover a little bit if you're not overly familiar with it, Kyle, given that you're not as into like Chicago Twitter. But I'm going to cover the team at first as well. Obviously, Justin Fields is a very talented player, but you need an offensive line to be successful in the NFL, and the Bears just don't have a good offensive line. This was a defense that came into this game looking bad, to be frank. Like, they weren't playing very well. And these Bears, I'm not convinced that you could have put 6 buckets on the ground in front of Justin Fields, and it probably would have been slightly more effective because at least they would have had to step over or around the buckets. Like, there were so many times where it just felt like they were getting like just an unabated pass rush. And, you know, there's a couple people who are like nitpicking some plays on Twitter. And like, if you're trying to make what happened on Sunday about Justin Fields, you're looking in entirely the wrong spots, because it's very clear that the issues started with the coaching staff. It's the coaching staff, it's the offensive line being underperforming, it's the wide receivers not getting open or not having time to get open. You know, there's a combination of things. Obviously, losing Allen Robinson more than likely next year is going to be huge. That being said, if Matt Nagy gets fired, maybe they can convince Robinson to stay. I'm convinced like it's a Nagy, like it's a Nagy
Adam Gase effect, except for not quite as bad.
Yeah, it's like he's Jeff Fisher. Like, you probably turn out 500 if Matt Nagy's your head coach, but you probably shouldn't expect anything more. So I agree with you. There's some questions on defense that need to be addressed as well, but Jalen Johnson's looked phenomenal to date. Roquan's continuing his, I don't think you can have a conversation about top 5 linebackers right now without including Roquan in that conversation. But that's just where we sit. Obviously, it's not going to be a great season. Matt Nagy's going to hopefully lose his job any week here, but we shall see.
And the big thing too, right, is if you have Andy Dalton and a rookie quarterback as your starting quarterbacks, and this goes for any team, if you have either a rookie or somebody that never was very successful in the NFL but was consistent, you're not going to have probably an over 500 season, right? You're going to go fucking 8. I would say 8-8, but it's not 8-8 anymore. You're probably going to go like 8-9 or 9-8, and you're going to have a pretty mediocre season. And I would expect that not for the Jets. The Jets are going to be worse. Jaguars are going to be worse than that. Bears are probably going to be right around there. You're looking at a lot of those teams that are starting to experiment at the quarterback position that are going to struggle this year, and it's no surprise. Like, it's going to happen. You have a first-year quarterback that needs to get adjusted to the game. So you shouldn't ever expect a rookie quarterback to come out and just blow your mind. It doesn't happen that often, and you shouldn't expect it. So Justin Fields is going to be great. I have no doubt about that. You just can't expect it to be the first game that he starts.
Yeah, definitely. But when it comes to the stadium situation that's going on, Kyle, for those who also aren't aware outside of just Kyle, the Chicago Bears ownership recently reached a purchase agreement for the Arlington Heights. It used to be a horse racing track. So it's outside of the city. And there's some controversy there too with, Chicago having a lease in the city of Chicago for the stadium through, I believe, 2033. So obviously they have a lease for quite some time, but if you haven't been to Soldier Field, the parking situation is terrible. It's one of the smallest stadiums in the NFL. Because it's not a dome stadium, you're never hosting a Super Bowl. You're never getting the opportunity to host anything else there. So there's a need to modernize not just Soldier Field, but stadiums around the NFL to make them a continual source of revenue outside of just the football season. Like, all you can really do at Soldier Field is you get the occasional concert that's held there, and that's really it. Whereas if you go into Arlington Heights, you can completely, you can tear down the racetrack, you can build, from scratch. You can build yourself a 90,000 seat stadium with a retractable roof that can be used for the Final Four. You could host basketball games in there. You could host hockey games in there. You could host, obviously have it be, the Bears Stadium. You can continue to do concerts there. You can do conventions. Like, there's just so many opportunities that become available if you move outside of the city of Chicago. Now, where the
Everybody
controversy,
fucking hates driving in Chicago.
true, I have to do it this Sunday. I'm going to the Bears game, and I'm like texting everybody I know, being like, "What the fuck do I do? Like, where do I park?"
It sounds like a
I've
nightmare.
never been to a Bears game, so I honestly just don't
Really?
know. Yeah, the only professional football game I've ever been to was a Packers versus Giants game in Lambeau.
Interesting. Oh,
but-
that's fun though. I
yeah.
still want to go to Lambeau. It's on my list of things to do in life.
It was very nice. The suites that we were in were mint. Let me tell you. Didn't have to deal with the cold weather that is Green Bay in like December or whenever it was.
that was
But the controversy lies in the fact that previous mayors of the city of Chicago have told the Bears that if you move outside of the city of Chicago, you can't use the name Chicago. So now there's rumors of, do the Bears have to change their name if they move out of Chicago? Who wants to be the Arlington Heights Bears? Like,
To just dip way the fuck out of Chicago. If Chicago's going to threaten you with that, and the amount of money that the Bears bring into Chicago, tell Chicago to fully fuck off and dip somewhere else into Illinois. Like,
Yeah,
that's
it's basically-
100% what you should do.
that's basically what they're doing. They've reached the purchase agreement. They are buying this land. Something is going to happen with it. Whether
Dude, if
it's
Chicago's not willing to let them have the name Chicago, they're going to sacrifice so much money, and that's where the concern is anyway, right? Like, the city of Chicago doesn't want them to exit the city because then the funds exit the city.
yeah.
But there's still ways to capitalize on that. Just because they're not located in downtown Chicago doesn't mean you don't make money.
You can still get licensing rights. You can still, there's so many things that you can do. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I personally would much prefer going to Bears games in Arlington than going into the city of Chicago.
It's like the Dallas Cowboys, Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many, and that's the thing that pisses me off so much about it. There's so many examples of sports teams, not just in football, in the entire sports world. The Tampa Bay Rays, it is in St. Petersburg. The Los Angeles Angels are in Anaheim, not Los Angeles. Dallas Cowboys, not there. The New York Giants play in fucking New Jersey. Like, they're in a different state.
Yep.
Like, there's so many examples of this, and nobody cares but the city of Chicago, which is just frustrates me to no end.
Yeah, dude, they're just, if they want to die on that hill, let them die on the hill. Seriously, as an owner of a football team, like, tell the city to fuck off then. Like, go somewhere else. People are still going to go to the games. You're not going to lose a fan base just because you're not in downtown Chicago, especially if you're still close to the city. Like, you're not going to lose out on that. You're just going to have to deal with the fact that you're not within the confines anymore, which, you probably get a little bit more of the foot traffic of the people that, like, live downtown and that want to be there and support and all that shit. But at the same time, like, who fucking cares?
From the
It's a
grandstands,
business.
from the grandstands of Arlington, you can still see the Chicago skyline. Like, it's not like you're going across the entire state or into Indiana or some shit. Like, you're still here. You're still within, like, everybody from Arlington Heights. Nobody says they're from Arlington Heights. They say they're from Chicago. Like,
Go be the Des Moines Bears. I'm sure I would love that.
yeah, be the Davenport Bears. Like, come on. But
I
anyway,
would welcome you.
yeah. But yeah, that's really the situation that's going on. I personally do think that they move out of the city of Chicago. I think they realize that they can. The Bears are a business. It's treated like a business. That's why our football product is bad.
Yeah. At the
They
end of the day, the NFL is a business, though. Like, this is a business. The owners aren't in it because they absolutely love the game. Like, they're doing it because it is a profitable business. Even if they enjoy the sport, which I would hope that they all do, they're still doing it at the end of the day for the money.
Yeah. And there's plenty of examples of team after team after team being outside of the city, still driving a bunch of revenue to that city. Like, I don't know. I can't wait for the Bears to be in Arlington, and I can go to more Bears games.
God damn it. Trevor Lawrence just scored again.
Yeah. Keeper, though, which is great for me because one of my parlays has him with an anytime touchdown. James Robinson is 3 yards away, I believe, from his over-under on that, and Dan Arnold already hit his over. So I'm doing great on that one.
I'm not doing so good in this. Cincinnati needs to get their shit together.
Anyways, that's all we have for the football segment. Don't want to take up too much more time, so we will let Kyle here jump into his first topic.
Topic number 1. Jake, what are some foods that you absolutely cannot stand, things that you will not eat, you'll never eat, you're never going to come around to it, things that you cannot do it.
She's got a point. Anyways, for those who couldn't hear, Kyle's wife pointed out that I eat a very plain diet, for lack of a better term. There's how many do you want? Like, how long you want this list to be? Because it can be long.
Top 5.
All right, number 1, oysters. Can't do it. Never will do it. Hate them. I don't like a cold giant booger sliding down my throat. Just not. It is not for me, to say the least. Number 2. There's a lot. Corn. I hate corn. I know, as an Iowa guy.
That one hurts.
I know. Corn is not a thing for me. Can't do it. Texture, don't like it. Taste isn't great. I eat corn products like cornmeal and stuff is pretty good. Popcorn's
You probably
great.
eat a gigantic amount of corn syrup.
Yep, probably that too. Actually, not really. I avoid like sugary, over heavily sweet stuff.
Everybody eats more corn syrup than they think that they do.
Wyatt, yes, there is something wrong with me. I don't like corn. I can't help it. Don't like it. Don't like a lot of vegetables. Kyle knows that. I think I've said it on this podcast once or twice as well. Let's see. Ooh, mayonnaise.
Ugh,
I hate mayonnaise.
I hate that you hate mayonnaise.
I can't. I don't like. I like things. I like to be adventurous, and I've been trying to be. Not when it comes to my food. Not when it comes to my food.
There you go.
But I've been trying to be a little bit more. Wyatt's rethinking our friendship. Sorry, Wyatt. I plugged JWB at the beginning of the podcast, man. I'm fulfilling our contractual duties of our friendship. But I can't do mayonnaise, man. I've tried. I can't do it. I just can't. Anything pickled, I don't like. I don't like vinegar. So I can't do like pickled onions. I can't do
hate your taste in food.
I can't do pickled onions. I can't do pickles. I can't do pickled jalapenos. I can do. I'm starting to come around to those. But for the most part, like anything with like an over vinegary taste to it, I can't do. What's that? 3 or 4? I think that's 4.
3.
I'm pretty sure it was 4, but that's fine. Guess you're not counting mayo. Let's see.
Okay, whatever.
This list could go forever, though. That's the thing. Sheesh. What else don't I?
Sheesh.
Sheesh. I'm trying to think of things my wife likes to eat that I don't.
It's an easy one for me because there are some distinctive things that Carly likes that I absolutely will not eat. So
Olives. Can't do olives. That's got to be on my top 5, like most hated. Can't do it. Just no. And the cheese stuff ones are even fucking worse. They are disgusting. I don't know how people like put those in their drinks.
I will say that the only olive that I've ever enjoyed was a pepper jack cheese stuffed olive, actually, and then maybe a jalapeno stuffed as well. Not big on the olives either, but I will say that I have thoroughly enjoyed myself a jalapeno or a pepper jack cheese stuffed one with a martini only.
Uncle Kyle in the chat says sushi. I'm assuming you mean that's on your top 5, like won't eat list, Uncle Kyle. I recently came around to sushi. I was the anti-sushi guy for so long, and then I ate it, and I was like, okay, I get it now.
Well, I guess I can start off my list then, because at the top of my list is seafood of all sorts, shapes, and sizes, to include sushi.
You won't eat any seafood.
I hate seafood. I don't like anything fish tasting, smelling. I don't like crab. I don't like lobster. I don't like shrimp. I don't like any of the fishes. The fishies.
I could find some fish you like. There's some fish that don't have a fishy taste to it. There's some fish where if I served it to you, you wouldn't think it was fish.
Disagree. People say that kind of
promise.
shit to me all the time. I've heard that my entire life. I don't like seafood. And then second on my list easily is cilantro. I have the cilantro tastes like lemon joy soap, dish soap to me, and I can't eat cilantro.
You've got the gene.
In salsa, if it's like hidden behind a million other flavors, I can tolerate it, but I do not like cilantro at all.
Do you think that's why you don't like Chipotle? Because it's in the rice?
No, I don't like Chipotle because I think their food quality sucks.
I disagree.
I think Chipotle is garbage, but I am among the minority in that opinion, I think, so that's fine. And then I don't like any meat that has a bone in it. So chicken wings, T-bone steaks, any like ribs are the one that I can kind of get close to tolerating, but everything else, if it has a bone in it, it's not for me. Bones freak me out. I don't like to fucking stick bones in my mouth. And I think it's less of a taste and texture thing and more of a I just don't want to put bones in my mouth.
Bro,
I
I'll
have
fucking gnaw on a T-bone steak bone after I'm
I
done.
have
Like,
never been able to get myself to do that, and I probably never will.
but you can like eat it if you, so like if you took rib meat off the bone, you would eat it. If you took like
Yeah.
a New York strip steak and I believe why am I blanking on the other half of a T-bone? Porterhouse? No. Is that the fillet? Why am I blanking?
Doesn't matter if it didn't have
Regardless.
if it had a bone and it was cut apart. Like the problem with steak though is it's also very fatty, which is also on my list of things that I won't eat. Is like chunks of fat. It makes me want to fucking throw
Ugh.
up. The texture of like fat or like tendons of meat in my mouth makes me want to throw up.
Tendons suck when you get like those or the silver skin, but like a nice caramelized fat that just melts in your mouth like butter. Oh,
That no,
so good.
gross.
Oh man.
Dude, I think Jacksonville's gonna score again in this fucking
I
first half.
think so. They got 2 minutes left.
They have 2 minutes and 23 seconds, all their timeouts, or two timeouts, and they're on the 50 or the 40 or something like that. It doesn't fucking matter. Fuck you, Cincinnati. God damn it. You're going to lose me a lot of money. But anyway, my next one is, and this is kind of a combined thing, but tomato and really fruit as a whole. And so that is 100% a texture thing for me. I love vegetables. Tomato is one that I will never do. And like in its true raw form.
Yeah,
I like salsa. I like ketchup. I like all of the byproducts of tomatoes. I just hate tomatoes.
I'm the same way.
And then fruit is a very, very texture thing for me. Like I don't like fibrous things in my mouth. And so, you know, your strawberries, your oranges. Oh my God, they're going to score again.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, God damn it. Anyway, fruit. I don't like texture of fruit. So
See, I don't like the texture of vegetables, but I can do fruit no problem. I wonder if, for me, I think it's like the sweetness, like because fruit is mostly sweet and it doesn't really have too many like off flavors to it or like savory, distinct flavors. Like I can do, you give me a pound of blueberries, I'll smash the whole thing right now. Don't care. You give me strawberries, don't care. Banana, don't care. Eat all of it. You put a fucking onion in front of me, nope, pass.
I used to hate onion, like will not eat onion kind of a person. And then Carly brought me around to the dark side. I love onion now. Love onion in all things.
I
Especially some grilled onion with some olive oil on it, right straight onto the grill. Love it.
So we go to this restaurant called Cooper's Hawk, and for years they have this. It's like a barbecue pulled pork grilled cheese kind of situation. They have caramelized onions in the pork, so like when they make the pork, they just make it with the onions. So I've been ordering without onions for all these years. Nobody said anything. And one guy goes, we can't take those out, right? Like it's just in the beef, like or in the meat. Like you can't. So I'm like, I've been eating onions for all these years and not knowing. So if you caramelize an onion enough that I don't notice the crunchiness of it, or like in salsa I can do, but like I
I
can't do
still
like
think you would like an
raw
onion,
onion
if
on
it
a
was
burger.
like a grilled onion on a burger. I think you would still like it
I've tried. No.
because you lose a lot of you take away a lot of that intense onion flavor when you grill it, and you get a little bit more of a char flavor. And when it's seasoned right,
But-
it's kind of like fat for you. Like it kind of melts almost. It's
But I
like,
like the flavor of onions. I just don't like biting in. Like I don't like biting onion.
yeah, but it's not like a crunchy onion when it's grilled anymore. It's just like
Maybe I'll
it
try
kind
it
of melts
again.
away.
I've tried it over the years, but I
Slice an onion, throw fucking olive oil and salt and pepper on there, just put it straight on the grill. Let
Okay.
that bad boy char up a little bit.
all right. I
You'll
will.
like it.
I will try that sometime. Probably gonna make burgers this weekend as a little celebration. So I have to try that out.
Whoop whoop. Celebration Mazel Tov.
All right. What else? I think that was 4 for you. 3 for you.
That was all 5 of mine.
That was all 5. I mean, like I said, my list could go on and on. To kind of not to make this my second topic, but what are 5 things that like are foods that people very commonly like that you're just not as big of a fan of?
I don't know that it would be too much of a different list. Like I hate sushi, and people are huge fans of sushi. Like there is a massive following behind sushi. Other foods that like are really popular.
Or maybe not really popular, but like foods that even if you kind of enjoy them, like foods that you could just go a long amount of time without eating them, and you wouldn't think about it. Like for me, it's pasta. Like I like pasta, but
I
never,
love
I
pasta.
don't
Love
crave
carbs.
pasta. I don't ever want I don't ever really want to eat pasta. Like it's just not one of those things that I ever have a craving for.
I love pasta. Love me some carbs.
We all love
Um,
carbs, but
I don't know, man. That's a tougher one that I have to think about a little bit. I think because there aren't like most of like your popular like big foods. I'm not against. I usually will enjoy most of those things. So hard to say there. I don't know. What would be for you? Like, what's an example?
so pasta's the clear one for me. Um, Ice cream. Like I like ice cream, but I'd never crave it. I'd
So you're
rather have
naming
a
all of the things that I absolutely crave like all the time.
yeah. But
Pizza,
see,
pasta, ice cream. Top three. Let's
no,
go.
so like for you, like steak. Like I eat steak all the time. I could eat steak every single day. Like you could go X amount of time without eating a steak and you don't
I
think
could
anything.
probably go the rest of my life without a steak and be fine.
Yeah, like something like
Every once
that's
in a while, I do crave a steak, and I want to just have a steak. But if I could never have a steak again in my life, to be honest, meat. Like I love meat, usually in the form of beef. And I think now that you've got so many alternatives to beef that are pretty like texturally and kind of similarly in flavor profiles, that I could probably be fine of just not eating meat. Like I've talked about this several times
yeah.
before, where I think I could probably go full vegetarian, with the exception of like maybe once or twice a year. I'd just say fuck it and have some meat. I'd be fine. I don't need meat to sustain me.
Yeah,
Maybe
not
from like a protein standpoint, I would. I would probably have to substitute some protein in there somehow, but I don't really care. And it's funny because the older I get, I feel like the more true that is. Like I'm getting a aversion to meat.
I'm not. I want meat more than ever. Give me every meat that you don't eat, I'll take it. But yeah,
Pork is like one of those for us most of the time. Like we don't really eat pork. I'm sure there's some people out there that really crave some pork, but
I like
we don't do
pulled pork or like a nice grilled
Yep.
pork
Yep.
chop.
But see, that's the thing. Like for me, like pulled pork is about the only one. Like pork chops, I could go without forever. Pork loin, I could go without forever. Just had it for dinner night. It was fine, but I would never crave it.
Yeah. A lot of the times I end up getting pork just because it's super cheap. Like I can get
Yeah.
like 10 pounds of like pork chops like at Costco, you get like 10 pounds of pork chops for like $20.
You know what's another one? This kind of fits both lists, I guess. Cottage cheese. I hate
Yeah,
cottage
no,
cheese.
hard pass.
And there
there.
are some people out there that like crave it. That
Yeah.
like, oh man, I really want to just go buy a fucking tub of cottage cheese and spoon that shit in my mouth.
my
Nah,
my
that ain't me.
parents and as a result, or my mom and as a result my brothers, like they would just eat cottage cheese out of the container. I'm like, how the fuck do you stomach this garbage? Like I do not get it.
Yeah, I'm not a big cottage cheese person at all.
Yeah. For me, I think the biggest one for me is ice cream because I do enjoy ice cream, but like if I never had ice cream again, I wouldn't.
I would cry.
I prefer frozen yogurt to ice cream.
I would argue that the flavor profile that you're craving though is the same. Like frozen yogurt is meant
But
to
I don't-
mimic ice cream.
Yeah, but I don't crave frozen yogurt. Like I've
Yeah, but
had
if you're going to use that as your example, I don't know that that's like that valid.
but I'm saying like I prefer
fumbled.
frozen yogurt to ice
fumbled.
cream.
You better call that a fucking fumble.
Anyways, we'll
Sorry.
figure out whatever's going on in the football game here in a minute. But like, I just
yeah.
don't like. One time in maybe the past 5 years have I been like, I need ice cream right now.
I need ice cream right now.
You're like, I
literally
want
right
it.
this second.
I
would
want
take ice
more
cream.
of the Chick-fil-A that I had for dinner. I want another spicy chicken sandwich to appear in front of me right now.
I would rather have ice cream than almost anything else in my entire food profile,
That's
other
crazy.
than pizza. Pizza.
I
ice
don't
cream.
get that. I just don't understand that.
I could
Like that
eat pizza every day for the rest of my life and throw some ice cream in there.
pizza I could
I'd be
do.
good to go.
Yeah, I could do that. I've definitely come around a lot more on pizza. I used to not be as big of a pizza guy, but I've definitely delved a lot deeper into the pizza world, and I'm very happy I did.
Love me some pizza.
All right, that was a great.
That's all I got.
That was a great first topic, Kyle. As always, we love
I'm
the
gonna pop into
debates.
another beer too.
I was about to ask, what is your ranking for your first beer?
I'd give it a 5.5, 5.5. It was fine. I didn't really taste the pumpkin in it as a beer as a whole. Like it was okay. I definitely wouldn't go buy it again. But if I ordered it at a restaurant, like I wouldn't be mad that I spent the money to buy or to try it once.
I just had to kill mine there just to be on pace with you. Mine was delicious, but I don't think it lived up to the hype that I had for it, that I had been given. And I don't want to knock it as a result, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to give it a 6.8. It's very good. It's a less like sweet sour. So if you like the actual like sourness of sours, you'll like it a lot more than I did.
Oh, thank God.
Was it roll the fumble?
God, no. They went for it on 4th and goal and missed it.
All right. What is beer number 2 for you, Kyle?
Oh, sorry. I have money on this game. I'm excited about it. Highwater Brewing Company is my second beer. So it is a break apart. So if anybody has ever had one of the chocolate oranges, I always got one at the holiday time. They were delicious.
I feel like we talked about these on an episode.
Maybe so, but they actually look exactly like what this looks like on the can. So it is like the chocolate around this orange here, but it comes in the form of something that is shaped very much like this, and then you break it apart and it's in these individual chocolate slices. So I would imagine it's meant to mimic that, but it is the break apart orange cream ale from Highwater Brewing.
Nice. I have Goliath Brewing's Cherry Fandango, which is a cherry kettle sour.
This one's a 5.4, so a nice ease off from my last one.
My last one was 6.5. This one is actually, Kyle, it's from your home state.
Iowa.
It is from Decorah, Iowa.
Pretty good. Decorah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I think Decorah is isn't that where the Field of Dreams is? Am I crazy?
Is it? I don't know, honestly. I think we could do a whole episode on how I think Field of Dreams is the most overrated baseball movie of all time.
You should probably know that. I'm probably wrong.
Anyways, speaking of that, let's go right into that. You know what? Switch up my topic. That made me think of it. Kyle, what are your top, call it 5, we can go longer if we want, top 5 most overrated movies of all time?
I have no idea. Sorry, I'm trying to find this really quick, and then I'll think about that. It's not in Dubuque. Oh, it's in Dyersville. I'm wrong. Dang it. Okay, anyway. Overrated movies.
We could even break it down by genre almost and pick like, I think that might be easier to do. So like we'll start with comedy. So like what do you think is the most overrated comedy of all time?
Let me look up what the top comedy movies of all time are. And then I'll say which one I think is the most overrated out of that list.
Let's do that. So top comedy movies of
and I'll just go to this first one for me, which is Time Out.
Yep.
So it starts at the bottom of the list. I hate that.
Yep. It's fine. It's just a one scroll.
Can I
it's
skip
not like,
all the way? Okay.
Yeah, it's just a one scroll.
Perfect.
Spinal Tap.
I've never seen this as Spinal Tap from 1984.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen that.
Oh,
movie.
you have to, man.
And I've actually watched quite a few of the 80s movies.
Let me see.
I can't say it's overrated though because I've never seen it.
I found my most overrated within the top 10. If this is a top 10 comedy of all time, it's the most overrated movie in the genre.
Oh, I think I know where you're gonna go with this then.
Yeah, you probably
based
do.
on what I just saw. Go ahead, give yours.
Mine is Team America: World Police.
Yeah, I watched like half of that movie one time and I didn't think it was good either, so I'm not surprised that you went there.
I didn't think it was funny when I was like a 12-year-old. Not even 12. This movie came out in 2004. I was 9. I watched this movie when I was like 10 and I didn't think it was funny. Let alone do I think it's funny as an adult, and let alone, no, it should never be in the top 10 comedy movies of all time. There's a million other movies I would watch before this.
Yeah, I am with you on that. I don't think it was a very good movie, so that's probably fairly solid for an overrated. I think I might just do this like 10 at a time. Like I'll go through 11 through 20 now and see if there's anything else.
Anchorman's great. The Big Lebowski's great. Naked Gun movies are great. Dumb and Dumber's great. Haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen a lot of these.
I have to rewatch Trading Places. I haven't watched that in a long time.
Keep going a little bit.
I can tell you what my first instinct was with it, though. And my first instinct wasn't that. It wasn't Team America: World Police. My first instinct for like an overrated comedy movie was The Hangover. Like The Hangover.
I love The Hangover.
The Hangover is great, but like so many people are like, like if you need to watch something to laugh, like you can watch The Hangover. Like I haven't watched The Hangover in 8 years. Like it's not something that my brain goes to when
I
I
just
want to
watched it
watch
again
something
not that long
funny.
ago. I think the same thing about Zoolander though. Like I feel
Yeah,
like people have really overhyped Zoolander as a number one comedy movie that you must go
yeah,
to.
definitely. It's definitely not.
I think it's got some pretty fucking hilarious one-liners in it, but in terms of like people hyping up a movie, Zoolander is definitely up there in the list for me.
My brain might also be a little bitter on that because of how bad Zoolander 2 was.
I don't know that I ever watched Zoolander 2.
I went to the
I make it a
movies.
habit to just not see a sequel until somebody tells me, "Oh, hey, that sequel was pretty good," and then I'm like, "Oh, okay."
We saw it in theaters, and there was a point where like something I don't even remember what it was, but like something happens on screen, and then he like looks at the camera and he's like hashtag oopsie, and I was like, I hate this movie. I'm going home. I'm leaving. Like it was just so bad.
I don't see that many else in this list that would really throw me off.
The South Park movie, I think South Park's overrated.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I
Like
liked
in
it more as a
general.
younger kid because like when your parents tell you can't watch it and then you watch it and you think it's funny. Like I think I had, which is funny because I probably didn't get most of the references then, but
I
I
don't.
actually like South Park.
My
Back then.
parents
I
like
don't so much
never.
anymore.
My parents like never stopped us from really watching anything. Like, have you ever seen the Starship Troopers movies?
No.
You need to. They're terrible, but great at the same time. But there's a lot of nudity in it. There's a lot of violence. There's death. Like it's without like spoiling the plot for you. There's a lot of shit that goes on in the movie. I saw that movie when I was like 6. Like no, I was younger than that because I was still living at my house in Plano. So it was when I was like 5, and I was like, that should not be a movie that a 5-year-old is watching. So like my parents really didn't care.
All right, let's see. I want to move on to action movies. See if there's anything in the top 15, 20 that is throwing me off a lot. Yeah. I actually like most of these movies.
That's gonna be my problem with action movies. Is like it doesn't take much for an action movie to be something that I like. So I have
They're
to find
calling
one that I like.
Shazam an action movie, and I never saw that, but I heard horrible things about it.
Yeah.
I didn't actually like the Hurt Locker that much. I'd say that was pretty overrated to me. I think it was fine, but people act like that's one of the greatest military movies of all time, and I don't think that that's true.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'm not big into the Hurt Locker.
If I'm like, are you still on timeout?
No, this one's on Rotten Tomatoes.
Gotcha. I'm on timeouts list. I'm trying to like find one that I really just like genuinely didn't enjoy. It's hard. Like I said, it's hard for me to find like an action movie that I don't like.
Yeah, same with me. That's kind of like one of my go-to categories. I do really like comedy movies too, but action movies has always been pretty much the top of my list.
Oh, here, I can say this. Like the Mission Impossible kind of series as a whole, I don't love them. Like I never rewatch
that's
them.
fair.
I see them like the one time that they come out in theaters, but like it's just not for me. Like it's too predictable. There's not enough action for what I like in an action movie that it just doesn't really crack the list for me.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. I was never that into them either. So
Um, can you find like one specific one? If not, we can move on.
I already did, and I already forgot what I said. I don't remember what it was.
Oh yeah, Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker, yeah.
Moving on to dramas. Top 100 dramas of all time. One Scroll website again. We love One Scroll websites. If you're making me go to your website and I have to click, like you're like advertising a list and I have to click through 20 pages to get through that list, like I hate you. I absolutely hate you.
And some of these I don't even know like how hyped up they were. I don't really like watch like movie reviewers or anything like that. So it's hard for me to say whether some of these were like hyped up. Oh, Gravity. I hated Gravity.
Is that the one with like Sandra Bullock in space?
Dude, I honestly don't even remember. Probably. I'll pull it open. Where's the actors? Yes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't love that one either.
That's got rave reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and I did not like that movie.
Let's see here. See, and this is my problem with like the drama category is like there's a lot of movies on this list that I'm looking at that I wouldn't call a drama. Like I wouldn't call Saving Private Ryan a drama. I wouldn't call Apocalypse Now a drama.
They kind of fit into multiple categories, but yeah.
Yeah. The James Bond movies are overrated. I will definitely give you that.
I
Uncle
love
Kyle.
the James Bond movies though, but overrated. Okay, I would probably agree, but I do really like those movies.
I guess I'll consider this a drama. Goodfellas. Like if I want to watch like a mob movie or like something in that field, like that's never one that I'm going to, and that's like consistently rated like a lot of people would say that's in like their top 20, and I don't agree. I just don't feel like that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh no, fuck that, fuck that. I have my most overrated drama of all time because I think it's the most overrated movie that has ever been made.
Go ahead.
Titanic.
Yeah.
I think Titanic is hands down the most overrated movie that has ever been produced by Hollywood. Like that movie, there's nothing special about that movie. There's nothing good about that movie. There's so many shitty plot holes that anybody with half a fucking brain can pick out. Like it's just bad. It's just so bad. I hate it. I hate it with a passion.
Yeah, I've never really cared for that, and I was going to go into this category next, which is kind of where I'd throw that. But romance movies, because, and this would be hard for me to do because I think they're probably all overhyped a little bit because I just don't really like the category. Because I would say probably like The Notebook and shit. Like
I love The Notebook.
Incredibly overrated.
I absolutely love The Notebook.
The Titanic too, which like I said, I would throw in that category.
The 100 best romantic films of all time.
They have Slumdog Millionaire in their list of romantic movies. Fuck you, Rotten Tomatoes. You don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, it's got a romance element to it.
Yeah, but it's really not about the romance.
True. This list calls Wall-E a romance, which I like.
I don't know that I ever actually watched that movie.
I don't know if I'd call it a romance, but
You know, I've seen Casablanca in 3 categories on Rotten Tomatoes. I love that movie.
it is great. I love classic movies. Like Citizen Kane is still probably my favorite movie of all time.
But anyway, what other categories do you have? Because I don't have much else for this.
What about like a war-specific movie? Like specifically, we'll call that World War II, Vietnam.
I love war movies, so I don't
I do
really think
too.
most of them are overrated. Let's see.
Again, with a war movie, it's not hard to like catch my interest and keep it. Like it's just not. If there's shooting at other people in the movie, like you probably have my attention for multiple hours.
That's not a helpful article.
If I'm thinking of like war movies, like I'm probably with you though that like Hurt Locker, like it's
Yeah.
it's good.
I just didn't really
but it's
like it.
It seems like I don't know. It doesn't seem like realistic enough for me. Like it seems over dramatized, and just like there's a lot of stuff in there that like I feel like just didn't need to be in there, and it would have been a better movie.
To be honest, and people would probably hate that I said this, I think Full Metal Jacket is a little bit overrated.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there if we're being honest. It's good, but it's not like a.
I've always liked that movie, but when everybody talks about it, they're like, "Oh my god, Full fucking Metal Jacket, dude!" And I just don't feel the same way.
I'd say Platoon's probably up there too for me. Like it's just not. Uncle Kyle says Goodfellas is in his top 5, calling back to the statement I made.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't love it. I'd pick a bunch of other movies first. But yeah, there's a lot of overrated movies out there, and
It's true.
you bringing up sports movies, Field of Dreams. There we go. Last category. Field of Dreams is the most overrated fucking movie in sports. It's not good. It's so
just
dumb.
Iowa's claim to fame, bro.
Iowa's got a lot of other claim to fames.
Do we?
Yeah, you got the world's largest truck stop, baby.
Oh, brother.
You got the world's largest truck stop. You got a really good wrestling team.
We have the world's largest frying pan.
Is that the fucking like
It's
the
in
chicken?
Brandon, Iowa. You
Yeah,
can
it's
look
like
it
a chicken festival. It's like a poultry festival or something.
No, it's literally just a frying pan that's like
But they bring
exists.
it to there's like a fest. I heard this on the radio. I shit you not, 2 days ago, where they were talking about there's like a poultry festival that's held, and they bring the world's largest frying pan to there, and it can fry like 365 chickens at the same time and hold 2,000 gallons of cooking oil.
I feel like they've never moved the largest frying pan in Brandon, Iowa.
They
I
said
could
it
be
weighs
wrong.
like 2 tons or some shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like that it's ever moved, but maybe that's a thing, and I just didn't know. You could be completely right.
Uncle Kyle says Space Jam 2. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't.
I haven't either, but I
comment.
also heard it was terrible. So
I
not
feel
shocked.
I feel like people say it's terrible because it's a re-egging of the LeBron versus MJ argument.
I have the older I've gotten, the less I've liked Adam Sandler movies, and so
See, I think it's the opposite for me. I think I appreciate him more now.
I have less of an appreciation for like Happy Gilmore.
I love Happy Gilmore.
I don't know what else. The original Longest Yard I thought was pretty shit.
I do like the Longest Yard remake better than the original.
Same. I'm just trying to look through the rest of this list. I don't watch that many sports movies either. Some, but not so many. I don't
No.
have too much of an opinion there from the top that I saw.
Yeah, there's not many. Most sports movies are you know what you're getting yourself into with the movie, so it's not like too big of a surprise.
Yeah.
But Field of Dreams sucked. Anyways, that was my first topic. Kyle, what is topic number 2 for you, my friend?
Topic number 2 for me, and I can really credit Carly with both of these topics because I was driving home from work today and I was like, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about today. And she's like, why don't you talk about these 2 things? And the first one was kind of a bastardized version of what she wanted to talk about, but I did that. So the second one will be, Jake, what are some things as an adult that you appreciate now that you did not appreciate when you were younger?
Number 1, underwear is a present. Like underwear is a Christmas present. Like
I will say mine is socks as a Christmas present.
like my brain connects socks as underwear.
Socks are incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And I would like somebody else to buy those for me.
I've stopped I don't care what I like having no-show socks for when I want to have no-show socks, but otherwise I bought it's like a 10-pack of just white socks at Costco. Like I don't care.
I have been
just
buying
don't care
Costco
anymore.
underwear. Socks not so much.
Need to buy new underwear because since I've lost so much weight, like nothing fits me that I own anymore, and I might as well try the Costco brand. It's probably a better deal than just buying
they
a
also
fucking
sell
pack of Hanes
not-
anywhere.
Just the Kirkland brand. They sell name brand too for just a cheaper price, and that's what I usually do. Because I got the Kirkland brand once and I wasn't that excited about it, but they sell like your Calvin Kleins and all that shit there too, and so they're fine. They're cheaper usually.
Carly says, "Do not encourage Costco underwear." I'm gonna do it, Carly.
Yeah,
I'm
when
gonna
I
go,
said underwear at Costco, I meant Kirkland. Or not Kirkland, I meant like their name brands that they sell.
well, I'm gonna go just because of that. I'm gonna go buy the Kirkland one just to try it.
You're probably going to be wasting your money.
My Uncle Kyle says his top 4 are money, socks, underwear, and time. All great choices. For me, what do I appreciate more now that I'm an adult?
Summers.
Yeah.
Summers off. You never really appreciated it. You're like, cool, school's out for the summer. I'm excited. Then you'd hang out. You'd pretty much do fuck all most of the summer and just chill, play video games or whatever. And then you'd go back to school. Never really appreciated it. I wish
Yeah.
I could have just like a month off of work.
Yeah,
once
just
a year.
exactly. Give me a month to just live my life and just not care about anything. Like even just like a week of that, I'm so thankful for now. Oh man. Yeah, that's definitely up there. I think I don't know, there's a lot that you either get or happens to you as a kid that as an adult you'd wish for again.
Yeah.
Like the time that you get to spend with your family, the time
Sure.
not here's one, not fucking worrying about bills. Like I wish I could go back to the point where I could just not have I don't care about money anymore. Like that's not something I think about.
Yeah, for sure.
But something that as an adult that I appreciate more. I don't know. It's kind of a hard question.
For me, education.
Yeah.
because you grow up and like it's not that I didn't try in high school, but I didn't really care that much. I kind of
Yeah.
just went through the motions.
Same.
College, I definitely went through the motions. Like I attended
Same.
class and everything like that. I wasn't like a
That's
shitbag in college, but at
that's
the same
fucking
time, like
that's
I
better than
still
me.
didn't I still didn't appreciate what I was doing, and I took kind of like a pretty easy major. So for me, it's like I wish I could go back and actually take that seriously and try to learn, and then go into college and take something a little bit more serious, something to prepare me more for an exciting or interesting future with some profitable side of the house too. So for me, it's like education is pretty high up there.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I wish I could redo a lot of things that I did just to save myself money in the long run.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Amusement parks. I appreciated. Well, that's actually the opposite. I appreciated those a lot more as a kid than I do now.
Oh, I fucking love them. Oh man, that's a big one for me now. Is actually like so the only, but that's less of a. I think as a younger person, I would have appreciated them just as much as I do now, but I just didn't have the opportunity to go to them most of the time.
Yeah.
So now as an adult, like if I go somewhere, I fucking live it up. Like we went to Universal when I was in Florida still, and holy shit, my inner child poured out of me at Universal. Like Harry Potter World was amazing
Oh,
to me.
yeah.
I had such a great time.
I would love to go back there because I haven't been since I was like 13.
You should. It was an
I would
amazing
appreciate that so much more now.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like as a kid, I probably would have appreciated the value of what was there, but I don't think that I would have like truly been engulfed in what that experience was. And I had a ton of fun there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm thinking about it now, and I would definitely love that a lot more now than I ever did as a kid.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like Disney. Like I've never been to Disney, but I can tell you that I would probably appreciate the experience more now than I would have as a kid. Like I would love to go to Disney.
I agree with that, but also when we went to Disney, we did like Universal at the same time, and I always enjoyed Universal more.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people have said that too. Could be wrong.
Let's see. What do I appreciate now? I think a lot of it just has to do with like the people I get to spend my time with. Like when you're a kid, all you want to do is like you just want to be with your friends, you want to be away from your parents, like your parents are embarrassing, yada yada yada. And like now that I've grown up, like I truly just appreciate being able to spend time with my parents and do a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I like going to their house, I like having dinner with them, I like going out for drinks with them. Like I could go out with my friends and get shitty whenever I want. Like if I find a night where my parents are like, yeah, come over, let's have some drinks. Like that just is like, it's like a done deal. Like even if I had other plans, they're canceled.
Yeah, I can't relate to that one so much anymore just because I'm so far away from
Yeah,
all of my
definitely.
family now. But I will say that would probably be true if I still lived at home. I would appreciate that time a little bit more. Same with my brothers. Like I grew uh, closer to my brothers as I got older, so I'd probably have a little bit more of a value for that time as opposed to what I did when I was a kid for sure. I would agree with that.
I think that's probably the best answer to the question in general, just time. Like when you're a kid, all you want to do is grow up. You want to be 16 so you can drive a car. You want to be 18 so you can not have a curfew anymore. You want to be 21 so you can go out to bars. Like, and now that like as I'm getting older, I'm like wishing like I wish I was 16 again. I wish I was back playing baseball. I wish
It's tough too when you're young because you don't understand like how much more responsibility that you're going to have as an adult. Cincinnati just scored as the tight end. Don't worry about it.
I'm worried about it. I have him in a bet where I had him under that reception total.
It's like you said, from a time perspective, you just don't understand the responsibilities that you're going to have as an adult.
Yeah.
And so like even like basic ass bills, right? Like your cell phone bill and like the things that you have internet access, right? Like the things that you have to pay for that you just don't even think about when you're younger. And then you do truly appreciate the fact that you didn't have to deal with that.
Yes.
And that might be close to the top of the list too, is like the appreciation as an adult for your parents.
Yep.
And like everything that they did for you when you were a kid and like the shit that they had to go through, especially for me, like I had two brothers and we were just hellions. And so my
Same.
parents put up with that for the whole time. And, you know, they didn't really fuss too much about it. So,
I mean, it's the exact same thing for me. Like I had two brothers. We were all shitheads. Some of us were less shitheady than others.
yeah.
Some of us, and I think that like, that's where I can kind of appreciate getting older a little bit more because like I have a much better relationship with my parents now than I did when I was 16. Like when I was
Yeah.
16, me and my parents did not get along at all. Like we just butted heads. Like they didn't understand where I was coming from. I definitely didn't understand where they were coming from.
Yeah.
And it's I think, as an adult, I definitely appreciate I definitely appreciate my parents a lot more than I did when I was a kid.
I appreciate the travel a lot more as an adult too, honestly.
I'm the
Some of it
opposite.
was some of it was partially because we just couldn't when I was younger. Like we didn't really travel that often. So circumstance plays a role in that too, but now like if I really wanted to, I could probably at least go anywhere in the world that I wanted to for a short period of time, and like I could probably travel now to pretty much wherever if I wanted to.
Right.
And I definitely couldn't do that as a kid. So the travel, we don't get to do it very often, but when we do, I appreciate it more than when I was a kid, because really what we did was like a lot of road trips, and those have their value too. But for me now, it's like, man, like I was missing out on some really cool cultural opportunities as a kid that I truly appreciate as an adult. And maybe I wouldn't have had as a kid either if I got the opportunity. I wouldn't have really seen the value in that, but I definitely do now. So that's part of it too.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I like traveling a lot more when I was a kid.
I like traveling. I mean, being on a flight sucks, but the experience once you get to the destination is incredible.
Yeah, I think that's a whole different conversation that we could have. Won't go too deep down that rabbit hole, but write that one down in your notepad. Jake hates traveling. We can go over that. Yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. I don't know. I think there's a lot as an adult that I appreciate more. And I think a lot of it just comes from maturity. I think just being more mature, like I look at things just through a completely different lens.
Sure.
So that's your money, time, family time, all that.
Yeah, I think you really, when you're a kid, there's a point in everyone's life, I think, where you transition away from the I just want to be with as many friends as I possibly can all the time, and you transition over to I'm okay with my circle being a little tighter and me being closer with my family. And I think pretty much everybody has that transition.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, I really like I suddenly enjoy the quality time that I get with my family, and I get that maybe having two or three or four like really solid friends is better than having 50 okay friends. Like you
Yeah.
kind of you that's those circles close a little bit, and you start to appreciate um, different qualities amongst the people that you surround yourself with. It's not just, hey, we're social and we get along. It's like, hey, we have the same values, and there's a lot
Right.
more that goes into that type of a relationship amongst friends, or your spouses or family or two. So
I definitely get that because for me it's like the few friends that I do consider to be like my really close friends, I almost consider to be like part of my family in a way.
yeah,
Like like you, Dane, like I consider you guys like
the
you guys
boys.
yeah, you guys are basically just like fourth and fifth brothers for me. Like it's just extended family. Like that's how I view like my closest friendships.
I feel like
And
Carly's hanging out in the background of this somewhere too, or maybe she can just hear me talking out loud, because I think she probably has some things in mind, and she should probably pop in the comments and let us know, because I think she has some stuff here too. But yeah, and I agree with Uncle Kyle there too. The quality over quantity time, um, for sure, absolutely, man. Like you think like for me too, like I was much more outgoing when I was younger. Like I wanted to be out of my house all the time. I never wanted to be home. I wanted to be with friends as much as possible. And now I'm like, nah, dude, I'd rather hang out by myself and have some time to decompress, hang out with my wife, hang out with my cats, and then every once in a while I'm like, okay, I'll go out and hang out with some people. But for the
yeah.
most part, I'm content doing things for me, which is, I mean, that's one of the big things, right? Like I think a lot of people grow up with this notion of like, hey, I want to like do grow up and like have a family and like replicate the things that came before me. But for me, it's like the older I've gotten, the more I've truly appreciated the individual time that I have, and catering to, it's not like I would say like I'm suddenly a ton more selfish. I think I just have more perspective as an adult in life, where I don't feel the pressure of society to do societal norms, and I'm like, nah, man, I'm just going to do what makes sense for me and makes sense for my timeline in life. And that might not be having kids or, you know, following a traditional timeline. And I'm completely happy with that. So that's something that I would say that I appreciate more as an adult too, is the freedom to make decisions based on what I want and what I need, as opposed to what I felt like was the projection of society as a younger person.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What you're talking about kind of parlays into my second topic. So,
Parlay. Have at it,
spe-
man. Give us your second topic.
speaking of parlay, not doing so hot.
Me
Anyways,
neither.
Kyle, this is going to be probably the most unique question that I have asked on the podcast.
Okay.
How are you doing? How
Jesus
how
Christ.
how like I've been taking a lot of time recently as I'm transitioning jobs and am thinking a lot about my life in a lot of different ways just because I have a different perspective on things right now. But like I've been focusing on my mental health a little bit more. And I know you've had a hectic couple weeks. That's why we took last week off the podcast. Like it was just, you had a lot of stuff going on. I just want to know. I just want to see how you're doing. Just want to.
Dude, this week's been, it's funny because I went from like 2 absolutely insane weeks, like straight back to back, to this week where I'm really not that busy. And so it's such a weird transition from literally just the hectic craziness, because it always happens where now that I'm back in school, where when school picks up, work picks up. So like I suddenly got involved in some pretty time intensive shit at work, and some pretty, I had to dedicate a lot of time to the things that I was doing at work, and then I would have to come home immediately and jump right into school because I was getting prepared for a test. And so like things were getting stacked on at school, and at the same time getting stacked on at work, and it was just building and building and building and building. And so the last 2 weeks were crazy busy for me, and I didn't really have time to do anything at all. I've been pretty crazy busy, and then I start like Monday of this week, and I was done with like my big project shit at work, and so I get back to like my normal regular work routine, and I was like, man, I've got time to figure some shit out. Like I don't have to like rush and get things done. Like I can kind of take my time and get my normal stuff done. And then I come home and I'm like, my test is done, so I can kind of chill out a little bit at school. And so this week's it's been good. It's been a nice relaxation from last week, and hopefully the Bengals actually figure their shit out tonight, and I can make this a better week for myself. But
they
either way,
they just forced a punt, so hopefully they can turn it
thank
around.
God.
But I just wanted to I don't know. I feel like especially men, like we don't talk about like how we're doing enough. Like a lot of the times, like when like most of my guy friends are like, "Oh, how's it going?" Like I just instinctively say like living living the dream. Like, heart's still
Sure.
beating, lungs are still working. Like
I'm living. Yeah.
I feel like and that's really kind of the topic that I want to talk about is like the stigma of like guys and having, whether it's mental health issues or just guys showing their emotions. Like I've never been one to hide my emotions. Like I've never had an issue sharing them. And I've definitely taken some flack over the years from like
Sure.
bullies, for lack of a better term, for like kind of just wearing my heart on my sleeve and like always being honest about how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
and I've always been open about like my mental health struggles as well. Like I've been diagnosed with anxiety disorders. Like I've had bouts of depression. I have ADHD. I have dyslexia. Like I have these things that are wrong with me. And like, I just feel like too often guys are pressured into not talking about them. And I am a big advocate for like normalizing talking about it.
Yeah, I've had a problem with specifically like the place that I work, because I think it's a lot of talk and not a lot of action. Like there's a lot of the messaging of talk about what's going on, and this isn't gender specific so much as what you were talking about, but it's really just people get a sense of what's going on in society, and they go, yeah, well, we need to figure out something to do about that. And so it turns into kind of just like words,
Right.
where it's, oh yeah, we should care about this, we should talk about this, and there's no real action behind it. So yeah, I get what you're going at, and then I think you're right too. The stigma is a little bit more associated with the male side of this. Typically, when it comes to talking about feelings, talking about what's going on, talking about, hey, maybe I need some help. And I think people have a hard time doing that. But at the same time, like I think as a society as a whole, there's a shitload of progress that has been made within our lifetime in terms of trying to figure out what to do about that. And it might not be perfect where in my spaces of life, but I think there are people out there that are doing a really good job of making that easier, and truly professing the fact that it's necessary. Like you have to be able to vent those things and talk about that kind of shit. And if you're having problems, then people of all genders, or everybody needs to be able to talk to somebody about, hey man, I'm having some problems. Like I need to take a pause, man. Like give me a minute to get my shit together. And so yeah, I get what you're saying, man. And I do appreciate the progress that we've made as a society towards allowing that to be more acceptable.
Yeah, I do agree. We have made a lot of progress. I do still think there's a lot of work to be done.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree a lot with what you're saying. And I think that, it definitely does go both ways too. Because I know I've talked to a lot of female friends of mine who have said that they're afraid to show their emotions at times too, because they don't want to come off as like the stereotypical like hormonal female, or like they don't want to be like a bitch. They don't want to come off as a bitch. But like, I'm like, it's okay. Like, if you feel that way, like there's no reason you shouldn't express that that's how you feel.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't imagine how incredibly difficult, and it's the same for me too. But I can kind of just be an asshole, so I get it. But like the RBF concept, like it's hard
Yeah.
for people to get past that, and they're like, there's a stigma associated with that too, where like just because like you don't look happy all the time, that people just assume that you're like a shitty person or like that you're mean or whatever, and it's hard to overcome those types of things too. But that's in on a like, some of it's out of your control. Like your natural expressions are very difficult to
yeah.
overcome as well too, and like you shouldn't have to change the way that you just naturally look so that you can accommodate some societal expectation of you too.
Yeah. Well, it too, like I'm a naturally like smiley person. Like I just smile a lot. Like if you watch our podcast on YouTube, you'll see it. Like I'm just smiling a lot of the time just because I don't know, just what my face does. But people like, not to be the stereotypical, like the people who seem the happiest aren't often. Like that is the case a lot of the time for me. Like in public, I can put on a very happy face and like everything's okay. And then I come home and like my wife is like, you just sat in your room for 4 hours. I'm like, yeah, I just needed to decompress. Like we got a lot going. Like
I can't talk about things that you value as an adult more than did when you were a kid. Like just the
alone time.
decompression.
Yes.
Not even alone time, just decompressing and not allowing to give yourself the time to decompress from the stress or a difficult day or whatever, and just truly just take the time in whatever method that might be. And it might not be alone time, like it might be video games with the friends or spending time with the significant other or whatever. Like there's a lot of different ways to decompress, but decompression is like invaluable to me now.
Yeah.
And it's not always the same for me either. Like some days I need to do different things, and everybody just needs to be able to figure out kind of what those things are for them and acknowledge the fact that, hey, I do need to decompress. Like, holy shit,
Yeah.
I can't stay this spun up all the time. That's important too. Yeah.
I think that, finding your outlet, finding your decompression technique, like I think that's probably the most underrated thing in the world. Like it's a thing that I didn't really put together as much until recently, but like when I'm physically active, like my stress goes away. Like when I'm working out, I don't think about work. I don't think about relationships. I don't think about anything besides getting that workout done and like feeling like I kicked my own ass. And it's just like, it's such an outlet for me where it's like, I can just do this one thing and it just kind of helps me for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it's this, but again, it's not always that. Like there's times where I look at my weights are right there. I have a squat rack right there. I have a bench right there. I have dumbbells. I have a barbell. I have plates. It's right there. There are times I walk in this room, I look at it, and it's the last thing in the world that I want to do. And I will sit down at this computer and I will play video games for 4 hours, not saying a single word to anybody. And that's exactly what I needed that day.
Yeah, dude. Every day is different for the stress that you had or the thing that's going to help you get over that stress. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
some days I'm carefree and I don't give a shit, and like work went really well and I come home and I don't need that time. But there are a lot more times I would say that I need to come home and do one of many things to get I just need to chill out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's popping a bottle of wine with the wife and just having some sips of wine, watching some TV or whatever. And sometimes it's playing video games or whatever, but everybody needs to kind of find their thing, or things that they can do to decompress.
And it's also about finding the right outlet versus the wrong outlet. Like,
Sure.
don't get me wrong. Sometimes sitting down, cracking a beer, pouring a whiskey, pouring some wine is great. Don't also don't make a habit out of that. Like, you shouldn't be drinking wine every night to get over your day. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just being facetious.
don't create yourself an alcohol problem because you use alcohol to deal with your problems.
But that goes into things that, like, as an adult, you need to recognize too. Like, hey, I've been using these types of things as a crutch. It's not something that is like actually helping me get over these things. It's just something that I'm using as a coping mechanism to kind of subdue whatever, then you have to recognize that as well too. So there's things that go into that too. But
definitely. And for some people, therapy is the right route. For some people, talking to somebody, getting those feelings off of our chest, like, it's not good to internalize all of those feelings. I'll be the first to admit I probably need to go to therapy a lot more because I haven't in quite some time, and it couldn't hurt me to do it. And sure. I think, like, even just me saying that on a podcast is like a huge step up from even 6 months ago. I probably wouldn't have said that. Like, I think as I grow up, like, I get more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
everybody needs to get into a position where they feel a little comfortable being uncomfortable, especially as you get older. And that goes into a lot of different facets of life too. Like, you're going through a transition right now from job to job where you do need to acknowledge, like, hey, I might be a little uncomfortable, but in the long term, I think that this is probably going to be a better thing for me.
Yeah.
And you have to recognize those things and work on those types of things as well. So,
well, and I think, like, as a way to kind of sum it all up, like, life isn't comfortable. Like,
true too.
No matter how well off you are, you have stress. No matter how tired you are, you have stress. No matter how bored you are, you have stress. No matter if you have the perfect life, you still don't. And I think that people need to be okay admitting that. And I'm starting to get more comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think I've grown a lot from, like, accepting that as a truth.
Yeah, dude, I'm 100% with you. And also, because you probably didn't just watch this, and I'm sorry, like, this, I'm not trying to take away from the seriousness of what you just said, but that has to be a Mixon touchdown.
I hold on. Are they reviewing it?
No, they called it short.
It looks like they're just letting the next
He
play
crossed
run.
the goal line.
Oh, actually, no, my stream's behind, so I'm seeing the play right now. Hold on.
Yeah,
we're gonna take a pause from this.
It is 100% a touchdout. He crosses the plane with the ball before anything touches the ground. No, it is a touchdown. 100%.
It's close. I think it'll get ruled a touchdown on the review.
They didn't review it. Sorry, I'm ahead of you.
Really? Hold on. I'm getting the slow motion.
He crossed the threshold, for sure. On that final push.
No, he didn't.
On the final push, ball crosses the plane.
I think his left leg was already down.
It doesn't matter.
Regardless. Uncle Kyle points it out well. Like, finding your threshold of comfort is always evolving, and that's 100% true. Like,
yeah, sure.
The things that I need to be comfortable now are a lot different than they were a year ago, 6 months ago.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever. I don't know. I felt like we haven't really talked about mental health that much on this podcast, and I do think, it's a stigma that I want to be part of breaking down.
Sure.
I want to shout this out to any listeners as well. If you're going through anything, if you ever need somebody to talk to, I'm always open ears. My DMs are open on Twitter. Reach out, hop in the Discord, send me a message. It's what we do this podcast because we like to hang out with each other, shoot the shit, have a couple beers, but, like, we also just like talking to each other. We like talking to other people sometimes, and it's, never feel like you can't.
The decompression sometimes.
Today it 100% was. I had a long, stressful day. I texted Kyle. I was like, I cannot wait to have a beer and podcast tonight. Like, it's just
for sure.
Find what makes you more comfortable. Find what helps you decompress. Be okay not being okay, and just be willing to talk about it. Yeah. That's all I can say.
I have nothing to add to that. It's a good closing. With that being said, thank you for joining us, everybody.
No.
Jake has to review a beer, and so do I. But I was
gonna say,
thank you so much for joining us.
You can't close this out yet. We got to do the beer reviews, my guy.
My break apart was definitely better than my first beer. I would give it a 6.2.
Ooh,
It was not
I
incredible, but it was good.
I had my fingers on 6.1.
6.2. 6.2.
This cherry fandango, if you like cherry pie, if you love cherry pie, if you love cherry pie, this is in the nines for you. It tastes like a liquid cherry pie.
I can add cherries to the thing. One of the things that I hate.
Kyle, I mean, come
hate
on.
cherries.
I guess that
I
falls
don't even
under
like
fruit.
artificial cherry flavoring. I don't like fruit. I don't like cherry.
I fucking love cherries.
Not a big cherry guy.
8.8.
Ugh.
I love cherries.
Based on your description of that, it sounds like a fucking 3.0 to me.
It tastes like if you don't like cherry pie, it's probably a 3.0. If you love cherry pie like I do, this is an 8 to a 9 for you.
Fair enough.
This is amazing. It's an amazing,
Fair
amazing beer.
enough.
I have a few other cherry beers, and I think they're all going to disappoint me now because of how good this one is.
Okay. I have some more pumpkin beers, so hopefully they can actually be better than what I just had.
Are you going to do pumpkin beers next week?
I've been doing a lot of fall-themed things. They're not all pumpkin, but yeah, most of them are fall-themed.
All right. I'm going to go get a couple pumpkin beers just to do on next week's episode.
Oop, oop.
It'll be the fall special.
Fall special. We could actually save it because we have to do a Halloween episode at some point too.
Oh, good point.
Coming towards the end of the month.
I like where your head's at.
It is almost October, by the way, if you guys didn't know. AKA tomorrow.
What day's Halloween? The 28th?
Sure. I don't know.
Is it? Hold on. I want to say it's the...
While Jake is figuring out when Halloween is, thank you everybody for joining us. This has been another
it's the 31st.
another episode of Two Average Husbands. It has been another fun episode. We're happy to have you. Please join us in the Discord if you guys are able to do that, because we have multiple methods of communication now. You can either comment on the YouTube channel or join us on Discord as well to comment during. And we are also trying to join the Discord channel as much as possible for the NFL football games. So whether that be Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, we're trying. We're not always available there. So specifically with Thursdays, right, we're in the podcast. But that being said, for Sundays and Mondays specifically, we're trying to get into that Discord and chat with you guys during the football games and just kind of have some conversations over the NFL. And then outside of that, follow us all over the place at number 2 AVG Husbands. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and we are at Facebook as well. And you can get us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. That's all I got. Thanks for joining us again. Jake can close out.
As always, thank you, Kyle, for joining me this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Like Kyle said, make sure you check us out on other platforms. With a lot of transitions going on in my life, I am able to do a little bit more with social media now. So definitely keep an eye out on our Twitters. Twitter's definitely going to get a lot more active. I've got a lot of unique ideas that I want to try out on there just to see if y'all like them. But as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed our beverages and your beverages tonight, and we will see you all next week.
Peace.